First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
We've got about 10 minutes with Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey F. Addicott. And I got to say, I think there came a point after Vietnam, and we'll see what the Lieutenant Colonel has to say, where we put all the pressure on the National Guard. And these people were doing 2, 3, even 4 tours of duty as we entered into these new wars that, as it turns out, Afghanistan becomes the longest war that we've ever had in the United States. But we forget about it because there is no draft. We don't have to deal with that big story, no big protests about it. These are people who have volunteered, thought they were going to be volunteering for the weekend. Now they're fighting in Afghanistan. So the public's not paying attention. While this is going on, it's life and death in places like Afghanistan. And there's a new documentary that is out, Extortion 17, Fallen Angel, Greatest Loss of American Life at War in Afghanistan. What's the truth? Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Addicott is on the line now. Lieutenant Colonel, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I don't know if I had any of that right, but it's how I have believed this has all happened post-Vietnam.
Yeah, it's we've strayed from the initial concept of what the military is all about, and that is to win wars. Now,
I think we lost you here.
Flaws.
Oh, you're back.
Can you hear?
Yep, I got you back. Now? Got you back now. Yep.
One of our biggest flaws was this rules of engagement activity. 10 years ago today, we had 38 coalition soldiers were killed because of the rules of engagement in Afghanistan. This is SEAL Team 6, was shot down out of the sky. They were in a Chinook going into a combat zone, and they were brought down by one Taliban insurgent with a RPG. We had the opportunity to kill that person from a gunship that was above this valley where the incident took place, and yet that permission was denied, and so that individual was able to shoot down the largest loss of Special Operation Forces in our history. SEAL Team 6 was the same group that took out Osama bin Laden just 3 months before, and one RPG brought the whole thing down, killed them all, and that's what this film's about. It's a fantastic film, and it really kind of underscores what the military is supposed to be all about and how we have strayed from that idea.
Hasn't it always been a problem, at least in modern times, where instead of the people on the ground, the military experts on the ground, you have oftentimes suits in Washington that are making the decisions on what can and cannot be done, and that seems to almost always be where we get ourselves in trouble.
It is. I mean, we have the law of war, which is static. You can't waive that.
Right.
And on top of that, we've layered these things called rules of engagement, and they're political rules. They tie one hand behind the soldier's back and tell them, go out there and fight the enemy. So in almost every case, it gets more of our soldiers killed. Yeah. And the political objective is, we want to be nice to people. We want to win their hearts and minds. And so they're self-imposed, and they do not contribute to winning the war. And that's the great tragedy that costs the lives of all these brave Navy SEALs and the other coalition forces on the aircraft.
So in this case, were they waiting on Washington to make a decision?
No, the rules of engagement are basically, they require, in this case, the gunship commander asked for permission to fire. This is 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
They had their night vision on these bad guys in the valley below, permission denied. And so these people were able to get away, and within a half hour, those same people were able to shoot their RPG and bring down our Chinook. So in this case, the rules of engagement required the commander ask for headquarters on the ground permission to shoot, and it was denied. We saw this throughout our tenure in Afghanistan for 20 years.
Wow.
Going along the lines of the rules of engagement, was the denial issued because of the fact that those individuals at that time had not engaged yet, or fired?
No, there was a firefight going on with the Rangers on the ground.
Wow.
It was a full-fledged combat activity going on. It was denied because they were too close next to a village, and they didn't want to disturb the sleep, I guess, of the villagers in their little homes.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And meanwhile, it became the worst loss of U.S. life during the war. Is that correct?
Yes, the worst loss in a single incident during the Afghanistan War of Special Operation Forces. And so this film is excellent. It's going to be, I think it's on Salem Network now. It will be on Netflix in about 2 weeks. But I encourage everyone to watch it. It covers the whole story of how we got into this war and how things went terribly wrong with these rules of engagement.
Well, we knew we could do better than the Russians, right? We could win the war the Russians couldn't win, it seems.
Can I ask as well, it seems to be, and again, I don't, my context on this is off, and I don't quite understand how all of this works, but it seems to me when we talk about this as the longest war as well, I almost feel like for the last, 6 years, decade, we've just been kind of occupying the area.
Right.
We're not trying to achieve.
There's no objective or mission.
It's not like take this building down, capture this person. It's just stay there. Am I right or wrong on that?
From a military aspect, what is the correct storyline that we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, basically keeping the lid on.
Yeah.
And everyone understood, whether you're a leftist or a conservative. Everyone understood the day we leave is the day that country goes back to the Taliban, whether it's 10 years from now, 100 years from now. And so many people, were asking, why are we here? And so conservatives, liberals, everybody basically agrees that it's time. It's been time to go 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And this has dragged on. We've lost 2,400 American lives, about $750 billion with a B. Wow. And thousands of people wounded for what? President Trump had it right, destroyed ISIS. That's how you do a war.
Right,
you get rid of rules of engagement, follow the law of war, and crush them and then leave. The response is, well, they'll just come back. And the answer to that is, well, they will come back in 5 years and kill you again.
Right.
So is that the plan? Like we leave, the Taliban takes control, and then in 5 years or 10 years, we just go back and destroy whatever's been built up since we left?
That's what a logical president would do. This current administration, I cannot tell you what they will do. I don't think they know.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I really wonder, should we have gone into Afghanistan in the first place? I mean,
yes.
We should have.
Yeah, we should. I mean, after 9/11, we have an obligation to respond. We went in there, we crushed them, which is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. We drove the Taliban out of power, destroyed al-Qaeda training camps. We should have departed at that time.
Right. And should we have gone into Iraq? Should we have taken out Saddam Hussein?
I was opposed to that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
The question, why he's a bad guy. Dude, there's lots of bad guys in the world.
Yep.
The issue of when we use military force should be what's in the United States' interest. Are they attacking us, or are they attempting to attack us?
Mm-hmm.
The same fixation that Obama had with Syria. President Assad, he's a bad guy. Well, he never attacked us, and he wasn't threatening to attack us. That's not the reason you use violence against other countries because you don't like them.
And the reality is, George H.W. Bush had it right. The reality is you will disrupt the region. At least Saddam Hussein kept the region in check, and look at what it's been like since he's been gone.
Yeah, that's another practical reason for it. But, he understood that when he drove them in 1991, he drove them out of Kuwait. He said, okay, that's it. They're back in their cage.
Yeah.
We're leaving. It's not our job to reform the world.
Mm-hmm.
A, you can't do it. It's impossible. And B, it's not the function of the military.
Yeah. And finally, you say we can't do it. It's impossible. We have this belief that everyone will want to live in our version of happiness, our democracy, and we've tried to impose it for years and years and years on people, and it just doesn't seem to work, and we can't figure that out.
Well, I think they do. I mean, I've been to every country twice in the world. Everybody wants to be free.
Yeah.
But the problem is that to do that in Afghanistan, we'd have to fundamentally destroy the very structure and of the culture almost, because in many cases they do not have freedom of religion. They don't have freedom of press. For example, in Japan, MacArthur went in and he said, "No, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write your constitution. You will let women vote. You will do this. You will have freedom of religion. Any questions?" And then, of course, from that starting point, people responded to that.
Right.
But in many cases, it's a bridge too far, and in this case, it was certainly a bridge too far.
Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Addicott, thank you so much for taking the time. The documentary Extortion 17, Fallen Angel, the greatest loss of American life at war in Afghanistan. It'll be coming soon to Netflix. You can find it. Where else? What other network is it on right now?
It's on, I'm sorry.
That's Salem, I think you said.
Salem, yes. Salem,
yes,
the Salem Network.
Yes.
And otherwise, it'll be on Netflix soon. I am definitely going to watch this. We should all watch it. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your service as well.
Great country. My pleasure.
Thank you. Wow. Interesting stuff, right? Now, you can everybody has an opinion, but here's somebody that was on the ground in leadership through all of it. He probably has a lot more knowledge than most anybody else.
And the
out
fact
there.
that they were denied the ability to take these people out because they were worried about waking the villagers.
Well, I think there was a little I wouldn't take that
but
literally, but I think he was being a bit sarcastic there. But the reality is decisions being made that they are and they're sitting ducks.
They're on the ground.
They're on the ground.
They're getting
know
the shots called from some bureaucrat
somewhere
in Washington
else
who doesn't have a
in this case
military strategy.
He's saying in this case it was actually on the ground, but it was higher the higher up brass that was making that decision, and not the people that were on the ground. So terrible. Anyway, that's a documentary to check out if you get a chance. Salem Network right now, and then it'll be on Netflix for you to watch in 2 weeks.